Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Sorry I didn't post a video this morning. To be honest, I'm trying my best to lower videos now to 2 a week. So hopefully this will give you some time to kind of read the text on your own. Maybe not listen to me so much. But I'll go over all of the answers from today's lesson for sure. So anyway, today you guys started day 7 of your notes. I know in the first slide underneath the title it said to start on page 33 and that confused some people, my bad. The chapter actually started on page 47. So again, if you want to take a second to pause the video and just set everything up, you should have your notes open. You should have played our vocabulary game for 5 minutes, so that should be open. And you can also click on the link for our text. Okay. So yesterday you started your day by writing a journal about having a conflict, maybe with somebody that you didn't really know. So a lot of times this can be, making statements to somebody or having somebody make a comment to you, and having something happen and maybe you felt like, I don't even know this person enough to have an argument, right? We wrote this journal today because, as you read, there was a fight between the Greasers and the Socs, and they don't necessarily know each other at school, or they're not really friends. So I wanted you to kind of put yourself in that position and think about, how do these characters feel getting into this situation and they don't really know each other. So hopefully you had something you could think of, or maybe an experience that you had noticed. All right. You guys were supposed to read from 47 to 54 in the text. Number 1 said to jot down the problem so far in the text. Number 2, what was motivating the Socs to fight. Number 3, what was motivating Pony to fight. And 4, to infer what was happening to Ponyboy at the time. All right, so I am gonna do like a quick read back through the text. So if you guys for some reason, couldn't get on, or you were struggling without the YouTube video, I'm gonna read, but feel free, if you did read this yesterday, to fast forward through the text, and then we'll kind of go over what we think our answers are. Okay, so chapter 4 starts on page 47. So you guys can open your link and read along if you'd like, or you could fast forward and just meet me on the other end of this. The park was about 2 blocks square, with a fountain in the middle and a small swimming pool for the kids. The pool was empty now in the fall, but the fountain was going merrily. Tall elm trees made the park shadowy and dark. And it would have been a good hangout, but we preferred our vacant lot. And the shepherd outfit liked the alleys down by the tracks, so the park was left to lovers and little kids. Nobody was around at 2:30 in the morning, and it was a good place to relax and cool off. Again, the reason why they were out, Ponyboy had fallen asleep and forgot what time it was. He came home late, and his older brother had hit him, so he decided he wanted to run away. So just keep that in mind. Him and Johnny are staying out for the evening. I couldn't have gotten much cooler without turning into a popsicle. Johnny snapped up his jeans jacket and flipped up the collar. "Ain't you about to freeze to death, Pony?" "You ain't a woofin'," I said, rubbing my bare arms between drags on my cigarette. I started to say something about the film of ice developing over the edges of the fountain, when a sudden blast from a car horn made us both jump. The blue Mustang was circling the park slowly. Johnny swore under his breath and muttered, "What do they want? This is our territory. What are Socs doing this far east?" Johnny shook his head. "I don't know, but I bet they're looking for us. We picked up their girls." So again, guys, the problem is that the Socs are showing up to fight with Pony and Johnny. So you can, cite evidence from page 47 of that Mustang driving up. The second question is asking us about what's motivating the Socs to fight. I would use the text evidence of, "I bet they're looking for us. We picked up their girls." At the drive-in, Marsha and Cherry were these guys girlfriends, so they didn't want them spending the night talking to Pony and Johnny. All right, and then again, number 3, we do have a little bit of text evidence saying that this is the greasers' territory. So we could go up a little bit on page 47 and cite that, like, this is their area. I think it said it. What do they want? This is our territory, right? So that could be a piece of evidence, but I think there's a little more of a reason why Pony is fighting in this scene. All right, 2 more questions left, and we are done. Oh, glory, I said with a groan. This is all I need to top off a perfect night. I took one last drag on my weed cigarette, and I ground the stub under my heel. Want to run for it? It's too late now, Johnny said. Here they come. 5 Socs were coming straight at us, and from the way they were staggering, I figured that they were reeling pickled. So it means that they were just like really drunk. That scared me. A cool, deadly bluff could sometimes shake them off, but not if they outnumbered you 5-2 and they were drunk. Johnny's hand went in his back pocket, and I remembered the switchblade. I wished for a broken bottle. I'd sure show them when I could use it if I had to. Johnny was scared to death, I mean it. He was as white as a ghost, and his eyes were wild-looking, like the eyes of an animal in a trap. We backed against the fountain, and the Socs surrounded us. They smelled heavily of whiskey and English leather, and I almost choked. I wished desperately that Darien Soda would come along hunting for me. The 4 of us could handle them easily. But no one was around, and Johnny and I were going to have to fight it out alone. Johnny had a blank, tough look on his face. You'd have had to know him to see the panic in his eyes. I stared at the Socs coolly. Maybe they could scare us to death, but we never let them have the satisfaction of knowing it. It was just Randy and Bob and 3 other Socs, and they recognized us. I knew Johnny recognized them. He was watching the moonlight glint off of Bob's rings with huge eyes. Again, Johnny knows one of these Socs because of the rings. Johnny was beat almost to death and left alone in a park. So Johnny has a motivation to fight, probably to have some sort of like revenge for what happened to him. Hey, what do you know? Bob said a little unsteadily. Here's the little greasers that picked up our girls. Hey, greasers. You're out of your territory, Johnny warned in a low voice. You better watch it. Randy swore at us and stepped in closer. Bob was eyeing Johnny. Nut, pal? You're the ones who better watch it. Next time, pick up your own kind. I was getting mad. I was hating them enough to lose my head. You know what a greaser is? Bob asked. White trash with long hair. I felt blood draining from my face. I've been cussed at and sworn at, but nothing ever hit me like that did. Johnny Cake made a kind of gasp, and his eyes were smoldering. You know what a Soc is? I said, my voice shaking with rage. White trash with Mustangs and Madras. And then I couldn't think of anything bad enough to call them, so I spit at them. Bob shook his head, smiling slowly. You could use a bath greaser and a good working over, and we've got all night to do it. Give the kid a bath, David. Oh, David's in here. I ducked and I tried to run for it, but the Soc caught my arm and twisted it behind my back and shoved my face into the fountain. So again, if you wanted to cite a second piece of evidence for what's motivating Pony, definitely being called white trash triggers an anger in him that he didn't really know about. All right. So now they're like pushing him into the fountain, and Pony definitely feels like he's dying. I fought, but the hand on the back of my neck was strong, and I had to hold my breath. I'm dying, I thought, and I wondered what was happening to Johnny. I couldn't hold my breath any longer. I fought again desperately, but only sucked in water. I'm drowning, I thought. They've gone too far. A red haze filled my mind, and I slowly relaxed. So he probably passed out from not breathing. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the pavement beside the fountain, coughing water and gasping. I lay there weakly, breathing in air and spitting out water. The wind blasted through my soaked sweatshirt and dripping hair. My teeth chattered unceasingly, and I couldn't stop them. I finally pushed myself up and leaned against the fountain. The water was running down my face, and then I saw Johnny. I killed him, he said. I killed that boy. Bob, the handsome Soch, was lying there in the moonlight, doubled up and still. This scene always reminds me of when we read Lord of the Flies and Simon dies, and the author uses that, like, the moonlight kind of shining over Simon's body to show us, you know, he's dead. Bob, kind of, we have the same image here. A dark pool was growing from him, spreading over the blue-white cement, so that's blood coming out of him. I looked at Johnny's hand. He was clutching his switchblade, and it was dark to the hilt. My stomach gave a violent jump, and my blood turned icy. "Johnny," I managed to say, fighting my dizziness. "I think I'm gonna be sick." "Go ahead," he said in a steady voice. "I won't look at you." I turned my head and was quietly sick for a minute, and then I leaned back and closed my eyes so I wouldn't see Bob lying there. "This can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be. You really killed him, huh, Johnny?" "Yeah," his voice quavered slightly. "I had to. They were drowning you, Pony. They might have killed you. And they had a blade. They were gonna beat me up. Like they did before." Johnny was quiet for a minute. "Yeah, like they did before." Johnny told me what happened. "They ran when I stabbed him. They all ran." A panic was rising in me as I listened to Johnny's voice go quiet. "Johnny," I nearly screamed, "what are we gonna do? They're gonna put you in an electric chair for killing people." I was shaking. "I want a cigarette. I want a cigarette. I want a cigarette." We smoked our last pack. "I'm scared, Johnny. What are we gonna do?" Johnny jumped up and dragged me up by my sweatshirt. He shook me. "Calm down, Pony. Get a hold of yourself." I hadn't realized that I was screaming. I shook loose. "Okay," I said. "I'm okay now." Johnny looked around, slapping his pockets nervously. "We gotta get out of here. Gotta get somewhere. Run away. The police will be here soon." I was trembling, and it wasn't from the cold. But Johnny, except for the fact that his hands were twitching, looked as cool as Derry ever had. "We'll need money, and maybe a gun and a plan." "Money? A gun? A plan? Where in the world do we get these things?" "Dally," Johnny said with finality. "Dally will get us out of here." I heaved a sigh. Why hadn't I thought of that? But I never thought of anything. Dallas Winston could do anything. Where could we find him? So I'm gonna just stop and make sure. So some answers for number 4 again. What was happening to Ponyboy? He was sick. He was like, he threw up. He was in shock. He's like, his body is shaking. He's definitely just physically in shock that Johnny killed somebody to, you know, save his life. Okay, so you could cite him, you know, throwing up, him feeling like his bones or his blood ran cold, things like that would show us that he's in shock. All right, so I took us all the way to 51. You should have read the scene between Dallas and the boys. He, you know, gives them money and a gun, and he tells them to go to Windrixville. So I'm just gonna kind of skip over that part. So it's just important for us to know that, you know, Dallas provides them with an escape, and he's gonna come eventually check on them. All right. So today the reading you're supposed to do is on 54. You'll see like a nice little space in the text. This is them jumping onto the train tracks and going to Windrixville. All right, there's 3 questions today and not a lot of reading. So 3 pages, 3 questions. The question is, how has the problem gotten worse? So it's not just that they murdered someone, right? Like, or it's not just that they were gonna run away, which was their first plan after Ponyboy got smacked in the face. Now they've killed someone, right? Now they're wanted for murder, and you know, going to Windrixville isn't necessarily going to be their favorite thing. They don't have their friends, their family. They don't have, you know, all the supplies that they need. So yeah, we'll see in the next few pages how the problem just kind of keeps getting worse. For number 6, I wanted you to again think about what motivated Johnny to kill the Soch. You're going to have to scroll back up a little bit to when he is like holding the switchblade and talking to Ponyboy about what he did. I think number 7 shouldn't say how do they seek help, or like I think 7 should say what help does Dally give them. So you should cite about Dallas giving them, you know, money, the gun, telling them where the plan is to go. So yeah, that's pretty easy. And then the last part, our exit ticket for today, it just says to cite evidence that proves that this chapter, while it was about a lot of events, you know, we saw Ponyboy trying to run away with Johnny and be alone. We saw, you know, them go to Dallas for help. The major event of the chapter was that fight between the Socs and the Greasers, okay? So 1 paragraph for your exit ticket will be just fine. And yeah, I'll go over that in tomorrow's video. Reach out to me. A lot of you were great about still checking in with me today, even though I didn't post a video, and I appreciate that. But also a lot of people didn't submit or write here on Google Classroom, so just keep doing those things every day so we can see who is here and keeping up with their work. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, guys.